everyone, I'm Vaishnavi Jaiswal from class 7th and today we are going to start with a chapter of English literature. So, in the English literature, this is my first class of English literature and my ma'am has also taught me about the eyes habit. Now, what is the eyes habit? It has a surprise ending, means this chapter has a surprise ending and we are going to read this chapter with its question answers and all the RTCs. So let's get started with the main point of the reading. Read this story about the narrator's memorable meeting with a fellow traveler and the revelation that unfolds once she leaves the train. It means that the narrator met a fellow traveler and revelation that unfolds once she leaves the train means the surprise ending comes when she leaves the train. So we are starting to read this chapter with now. Let's get started. I had the train compartment to myself up to Rohana. Then the girl got in. The couple who went to see her off were probably her parents. They seemed very anxious about her comfort, and the woman gave the girl detailed instructions that how to wear and how and when to keep her things, when not to lean out of windows, and how to avoid speaking to the strangers. So in this para, we have seen that how the narrator was traveling and up to what compartment he was traveling. So he was traveling up to Rohana. Then a girl got into his compartment, and then two couple came to see the girl. That I think the narrator said that I think that they were probably her parents because the parents are anxious about the comfort of the children and there are like to tell everything in the detailed instruction, and so they do. They called their goodbyes, and the train pulled out of the station. As I was totally blind at that time, my eyes sensitive only to light and darkness, I was unable to tell what the girl looked like, but I knew she wore slippers, the way they slapped against her heels. So this para tells us that the parents who came to see her, they call their goodbyes, they tell the goodbyes to each other, and then the train moved out of the station. Then, at that moment of time, he was totally blind and his eyes was not able to see the situation around happening around himself, and he was unable to recognize that how the girl looked like. She was had a like short hair, long hair. He was not able to recognize anything, but because of his remaining senses, he recognized that the girl wore slippers as the slippers slapped against her heels. It would take me some time to discover something about her looks, and perhaps I never would. But I liked the sound of her voice and even the sound of her slippers. In this para, we saw that uh, the narrator will take time to recognize the girl's looks, but perhaps he would never because he was blind, and he was like impressed with the sound of her and the sound of her slippers also. Then the narrator asked to the girl that, "Are you going all the way to Dehra?" I must have been sitting in a dark corner because my voice startled her. Startled means she felt a sudden shock or alarm. She gave a little exclamation, and and she said that I didn't know anyone was here. Then the narrator said, "Well, it often happens that people with good eyesight fail to see what is right in front of them. This means that the people who have eyesight didn't see that what is in front of them, and so happened with the girl that came into the compartment. They have too much taken, I suppose, whereas people who cannot see or see very little have to take in only the essentials, whatever registers most tellingly on their remaining senses. So this means that the people who cannot see or see very little have to take more essentials. They feel to see many things around them, but they couldn't see as they are blind. But They take their essentials and they take their many important things with their remaining senses. And so that he does. The narrator also does the same thing. He heard the sound of his slippers with his ears and with the hearing sense. Now, I didn't see I didn't see either, I said. He pretended that he couldn't see, but I heard you come in. He said then that I heard you come in inside the compartment. Then he told, I wondered if I would be able to prevent her from discovering that I was blind, provided I keep to my seat. I thought, it shouldn't be too difficult to tell her. I wondered if I would be able to prevent. This means that he was like preventing himself to tell the girl that he was blind at that moment of time, provided to keep it a seat. Like, let's be on the seat and not tell her that if he was blind at that time. The girl said, I'm getting off at Saharanpur. My aunt is meeting me there. Then I had better not to get too familiar, I replied. Ants are usually formidable creatures. Now, what does mean the formidable? Inspiring fear and respect. Where are you going? She asked. To Dehra and then to Masuri. He replied, Oh, how lucky you are. I wish I were going to Masuri. I love the hills, especially in October, the girl said. Yes, this is the best time, I said, calling on my memories. The hills are covered with wild dahlias. Dahlias are flowers and there are colored flowers, mostly in yellow color. Then he said, the sun is delicious and at night you can sit in the front of the log fire. And that could be very like exciting for the narrator to tell. Most of the tourists have gone and the roads are quiet and almost deserted. Deserted means they are almost empty. Yes, October is the best time. She was silent. I wondered if my words have been touched her or whatever she thought me a romantic fool. Then I made a mistake. He told that she was silent and she didn't say anything to her. And he thought that I think I have said something like very delicious and something very exciting, so that she thought him a fool. Also, he told that, what is it like outside? He asked a silly question. Here is written, then I made a mistake. Means he made a mistake by asking, what is it like outside? I asked. She seemed to find nothing strange in this question. Had she noticed already that I could not see? But her next question removed my doubts. Why don't you look outside of the windows? She asked. I moved easily along the berth and felt for the window ledge. The window was opened and I faced it, making a pretense of studying the landscape. I heard the panting of engine, the rumble of wheels, and in my mind's eye, I could see the telegraph posts of the flashing. Have you noticed? I ventured that the trees seem to be moving while we seem to be standing still. That always happens, she said. Do you see any animals? No, I answered quite confidently. I knew that there were hardly any animals left in the forest near Dehradun. I turned from the window ledge and faced the girl, and for a while we sat in silence. You have an interesting face, I remarked. She laughed pleasantly, a clear, ringing laugh. It's nice to be told that I have an interesting face. I am tired of people telling me that I have a pretty face. Oh, so you do have an interesting face. I am. Oh, so you do have a pretty face, thought I. And aloud I said, well, an interesting face can also be pretty. You are a very gallant young man, the girl said. But why are you so serious? I thought then I would try to laugh for her, but the thought of laughter only made me lonely and troubled. We'll soon be at our station, I said. Thank goodness. Thank goodness it's a short journey. I can't bear to sit in a train for more than 2 to 3 hours. Yet I was prepared to sit for almost any length of time just to listen to her talking. Her voice had sparkle of mountain stream. As soon as she left the train, she would forget our brief encounter, but it would stay with me for the rest of the journey and for some time after. So he said that the girl would forget that with which man he met with which man he met in the compartment and like what they talked about. She would forget, but the narrator wouldn't forget for the rest of the journey and after some time. The engines whistled, shrieked, the carriage wheels changed their sound and rhythm. The girls got up and began to collect her things. I wondered if she wore her hair in a bun or if she or if it was plaited. Perhaps it was hanging loose over her shoulders, or was it cut very short? The train drew slowly into the station. Outside, there was shouting of porters and vendors and a high pitched female voice near the carriage door. That voice must be belonging to the girl's aunt. This means that the train slowly drew the station, means uh, it went to the station and stopped, and the sound of porters and vendors and high pitch of a female voice came to the near to the carriage door, and the narrator thought that it must be the of her aunt. Then the girl said goodbye to the narrator. She was standing very close to me, so close that the perfume from her hair could be smelled. Then she moved away. Only the scent of her perfume lingered where she had stood. There was some confusion in the doorway. A man getting into the compartment stammered an apology. Then the door banged, and the world was shut out again. I returned to my berth. The guard blew his whistle, and we moved off. Once again, I had a game to play with a new fellow traveler. The train gathered speed, the wheels took up their song, the carriage door groaned and shook. I found the window and sat in front of it, staring into a daylight that was darkness. So many things were happening outside the window. It could be fascinating game guessing what went on out there. The man who had entered the compartment broke into my reverie. Reverie means a state of being lost into your thoughts. So he broke into my reverie. You must be disappointed, he said. I am not nearly as attractive as a traveling companion as the one who just left. She was an interesting girl, I said. Can you tell me, did she keep her hair long or short? I don't remember, the companion said. He said, the sounding of the sounding puzzled. I don't remember. He said sounding puzzled means he seemed to be puzzled when the man asked to him, the narrator when asked to the boy. Then it was her eyes I noticed, not her hair. She had beautiful eyes, but they were of no use to her. Now, the means the most exciting part of this chapter comes now, that I don't remember he was saying like he was sounding puzzled at that time, but it was her eyes he noticed that they were beautiful eyes, but not of a view, not of his her use, because she was totally blind. Didn't you notice? So the companion who came into the compartment said that the girl was totally blind and she wouldn't like it was no use to her as she had beautiful eyes. The story is all from Ruskin Bond, and he was born in 1934, and he is an Indian writer of British descent. Now we have completed the chapter, and We have done all the we have to do all the exercises, reading comprehensions, and let's get started with the first question. Fill in the blanks. The first thing the narrator noticed about the girl was the sound of her dash. In the dash, we would take slippers, the sound of her slippers. According to the narrator, people who cannot see only take in the essentials. So, essentials is the answer of this part. Third is the girl was going to dash. The girl was going to Saharanpur. Then we have the fourth one. The girl said that she loved the hills, especially in which month? In October. The new passenger sounded puzzled when the narrator asked him about the length of the girl's dash, about her hair. Now we have the question answers. Let's get started with the question answers now. Answer these questions. The question number one. Where was the narrator going? The narrator was going to Dehradun and then to Masuri. So this is the answer of the first one. Second question is, what made the narrator think that the couple who came to see the girl were perhaps her parents? So in this question we have to tell that why, what made the narrator think about that the couple who came to see the girl of were perhaps her parents. Now we have to answer this question. So the answer is, the couple who saw her off were probably her parents because they seemed to be very anxious about her comfort, and the woman gave the girl detailed instructions as to where to keep her things, when not to lean out of the windows, and how to avoid speaking to strangers. The next question is, why did the narrator's voice startle the girl? The voice of the narrator startled the girl because the narrator must have been sitting in a dark corner. The question number 4 is, what was the narrator's first question to the girl? How did she respond to it? The first question of the narrator was if she was going to Dehradun. The girl responded that she was not going to Dehradun. Instead, she was going to Saharanpur. So the question number 5 and the last question of answer this question is, how did the narrator try not to give give away that he was blind, and at the fact he was totally blind at that time. The narrator didn't wanted the girl to know that he was blind, but he pretended to be not be blind and moved to the berth of the window ledge and pretended to look outside. Also, when the girl asked about the animals, the narrator replied that there were no animals outside. Now we are coming to the RTCs. The question number 1 of RTCs is, you have an interesting face. The question number 1 is, who made this remark and about whom? The answer is, the narrator made this remark and about the girl. B part of this question is, why did the speaker use the word interesting to describe the face? The narrator used the word interesting because he was impressed by the voice of the girl. As he was blind, he was not able to see her face, so he used interesting word. Now we are coming to the C part of this question. What was the listener's reply to this remark? The listener replied to this remark by laughing pleasantly. The question number 2 of RTCs is, she had beautiful eyes, but they were of no use to her. Who spoke these words and to whom? It is the A part. Answer is, the fellow traveler who came after the girl spoke these words to the speaker. The B part of this question is, whose beautiful eyes are referred to here? The beautiful eyes of girl are referred to here. Now we are coming to the C part and the last part of this chapter, which is, why were the eyes no use to her? The answer will be, the eyes were no use to her as she was totally blind, like the narrator, you can say. So we have completed this chapter in our today's class, and there are now 20 minutes we have done, and now we have to revise this chapter, and we have done all this chapter. So stay safe, stay home, and stay healthy also at this moment of time, as the new virus, the new, you can say, fungi at is coming now, and we have to be safe at our homes to stay safe and stay healthy. Bye.